With Canada's bee population on the decline, Ottawa has announced measures it says hopes will protect honeybees, but some farmers and scientists say it isn't enough. Health Canada says it'll enforce tighter regulations on pesticides linked to the insect's death. Canadian Honey Council says Canada's bee population has dropped by 35% in just the past 3 years alone. Scott Kirby is with Health Canada's Pest Management Regulatory Agency. He joins us from Ottawa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Mr. Kirby, we want to talk about these new proposals. What exactly is going to be done to try to curb this?
Well, we're proposing a variety of measures, including requiring that farmers use a safer low-dust seed lubricant when planting corn and soya. We're also proposing to safer seed planting practices. We're also looking at increasing the label statements to make them more rigorous. And finally, we're going to be asking the pesticide companies as well as requesting the provinces to provide us with value data that will help us determine how necessary these treated seeds are for farmers.
What, in terms of putting these proposals together, how is it determined exactly, the kinds of things that are leading to the decline in the bee population? I mean, I guess to begin with, let's talk about the pesticide angle.
Well, there are a variety of issues surrounding bee health. There's all kinds of things assaulting the bee population. These include things like climate change, things like varroa mites, diseases such as nosema, as well as bee husbandry practices, and pesticides are also in the mix. At this point, we're looking at all angles. We've announced a reevaluation with the United States EPA to look at some of these issues, but also our science is pointing towards a problem right now in southern Ontario and Quebec, which is the exposure of bees to contaminated dust from the seed planting operations, and that's why we've proposed these measures to address that specific problem. Okay,
a little while ago, we spoke with a bee farmer who lost half his bee population and his farm, I might add. Here's a portion of what he had to tell us at that time.
We'd like to see leadership from the government to take a stand to ban this chemical that me as a beekeeper, I love to be as a beekeeper. Why can't I be a beekeeper? Why can't beekeepers throughout Ontario, worldwide? We want to see this chemical banned, because how can I tell my kids that we can't sustain this? We can't go on like this because the bees are dying faster than the queen can lay. Our queen.
So let me ask you, Mr. Kirby, about just how serious the government is taking this to try to curb the bee population decline. What about an outright ban on the kinds of pesticides that Dave Schuit was talking to us about?
Well, as I say, we're letting our actions be directed by the science, and at this time, what we've seen is clear evidence of issues related to the corn planting and soya planting in southern Ontario and Quebec. We are looking at the broader issues with respect to bee health, and that's why we've announced a reevaluation with the United States Environmental Protection Agency. But at this time, the science does not point towards a need to do a broader action with respect to these pesticides. So we're focusing on where the problem is, and as I say, we'll be looking at the broader issues over the course of the reevaluation.
But it does seem odd that the science isn't pointing in that direction, but the numbers say 35% of the bee population is gone in the last 3 years.
Well, as I say, there are a number of factors that are impacting bee health, and not the least of which, again, is the varroa mite. That is a very serious problem globally, and there's also diseases as well as bee husbandry issues. So, as I say, we're going to be looking at those broader issues as part of the reevaluation, but right now we're focusing on what the science is telling us, and the science is telling us that there is a problem with corn planting and soya planting and exposure of bees to these contaminated dusts.
Okay, Mr. Kirby, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.